Anthony drives one. Deep left center field. Back goes Campana. To the wall. It's out of here!
Is that worth the 2-minute wait to see that, Reck?
What? I was like, this thing started, and I'm like, how long is this thing gonna be?
Yeah, every intro is always going to be the 2 minutes for the Meet the Mets song.
Oh, that's
For people on
amazing.
audio, you wouldn't have heard it, but yeah, we got new intros rolling out. Shout out to Jacob, who's going to be one of my editors this year. Hope you enjoyed that little ending there, Rec. He's the one who brought up to me, he's like, should we have Recker? I'm like, oh, absolutely. And I think what's even funnier is that at the end, obviously, hit that bomb off of Heath Bell, who of course is in the same role that you are, but with the Padres podcast for Believe. So, you know, it wasn't even intentional either, but it's pretty fitting. So either way,
funny.
yeah. Thank you guys.
I'm a little slighted though. You didn't, the 15 team isn't really like,
there's a reason for that. There's a
there.
reason for that. It's not that it's forgotten, Rec, but a lot of those players are active on other teams, and to not deal with the backlash naturally from the fans, that is why we don't have him in there. Trust me, I wanted Mike with his 2 bombs just as much as the next guy in there, but I had to think about it. What's for the greater good, and the greater good is just kind of mixed up.
I think some Daniel Murphy highlights, especially since he's a friend of the show. I mean, that would have made a lot of sense.
That is something that can be adjusted.
Friend of the show, Danny Murphy, number 3 hitter.
Let's go.
Let's
go.
Okay. Write it down, Jacob, if you're watching the show.
Shout out to the number 3 hitter at Jacksonville University.
Yes. All right, guys, let's get into it. A shout out all you guys being here in the live show or listening wherever you get your podcasts. This is Believe in Queens, episode 48. Obviously, this is the Aaron Heilman episode. I know that none of you guys should be surprised by that. But this is going to be a big one. We're going over all the latest spring training updates for the Metropolitans. You know, what's been going on with Steve Cohen as he's been in camp sharing his raw opinions on things. A lot of positivity there. What are the player updates? Everyone has now reported spring training. So what are we looking at there? What are the top storylines overall? We'll be getting to some of your questions before the end of the live show here on YouTube. But before we get into it all, just have to let you all know that, of course, today's show is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline is your number one source for all your sports betting needs. So make sure you head over to betonline.ag using promo code BELIEVE at BLEAV. That way you get yourself a 50% off welcome bonus. BetOnline, it's where the games begin. And now, folks, let's officially let the show begin. Rec, Joe, how are you gentlemen doing tonight?
Doing great, man. No complaints. You know, it was a beautiful, sunny SoCal day. I heard it's a little stormy in the Northeast, so just wanted to rub that one in and ready to get things going.
No, that's real nice, Joe. There was a tornado that hit down south in New Jersey. But yeah, no, go ahead. Keep rubbing it in. Real cool. Real cool, Joe.
Jesus, if Jersey wasn't bad enough, now you got tornadoes into the mix.
Is that true?
I can't. You know what's bad? I can't even say what I want to say about New Jersey right now because I've already received enough flack on Twitter once when I made a comment. So I'm just going to keep my mouth shut.
A comment I got asked about on a guest spot I did on a show yesterday.
Did you really?
I did.
Stop it.
I did.
About my comment about New Jersey?
I got asked about Marcus Stroman, and all I said was, look.
Oh no, it wasn't that comment. It wasn't that. This was like a long time ago.
You're talking about New Jersey? I thought you were talking about MLB Network 2 weeks ago.
No. This is just a comment I made about New Jersey like years ago, and everybody in New Jersey took offense to it. I'm from Pennsylvania, so I have that natural slight against New Jersey. We're better. That's just the way it is. Sorry about it. People didn't like that when I said that. So
well, the only good thing about New Jersey is that you don't have to get out of your car when you go to get gas. That's about the only good thing about Jersey.
See, I actually hate that. I'm not gonna lie. Like I pull up and I want to get out to do it because the dude working, first of all, is pissed off. He's yelling like he comes over the car. What do you want? I'm like, I want you to be nice to me, sir. That's all. Like, here's my card. Just please fill up my tank and I'll go. Like, just be nice about it. This lady the other day, I was at a Wawa. This lady comes over, so nice. I had my whole family was in the car. Oh, sir, what can I get for you? Like, she was super nice. I was like, and I tipped her afterwards. I was like, thank you. Like it makes my day so much better. Same thing when I go to the tolls. Like most people are just kind of like, meh. Here's your money, like
pay the toll.
You get that one person every once in a while that's like super nice. So like, oh, how you doing? I'm like, I'm great. How are you? You know, like
wait, you sit at a toll booth?
Yeah.
So you're telling me you don't have an Easy Pass?
I do. I accidentally like sped through once or twice and I got suspended. And then,
okay.
And then they like, I didn't even know it. Like, I didn't even know it happened. Then I kept going through them. And then I like racked up this like $3,000 bill with Easy Pass. Easy Pass, if you're listening, I hate you. And I'm not paying $50 every time I went through, and I didn't know that my thing was suspended because you have some kind of a, what is it called? Like a processing fee for when you find me. I'm like, what? Like, I'll pay the $16 I owed for going under the tunnel to go into the city. I'm not paying the $50 each time for your processing fee. Get out of here. So yeah, I go through the tolls now.
Okay. Understood.
Anthony Recker and my dad, the only people I know that are scraping up, quarters and nickels as they go through a toll booth.
I seriously, literally, like, I actually have like a little change thing in my
right in the car.
Yeah, like I'm just like, oh, here's your. It was 50 cents. It went up to 60 cents in the new year because everything's more expensive.
Bastards.
So it was $2.50. Now it's $2.60 every time I get off at MLB Network. It's a caucus exit, so now I have to just reach in there, grab my 60 cents with my $2 and hand it over.
That's great.
Such a dad. You are such a dad.
Thank you. I am. I just put him to bed.
There you go. Hopefully, vomit-free bedtime tonight.
Tyler just wants to get to the baseball talk.
I know. Tyler's like, can we talk about Scherzer going 3 innings on Sunday?
Fuck you.
Oh, man.
Okay.
All right, Tyler, let's get into it. Who's going to be the 11th man in the bullpen? Let's dive in.
That's for the end, Joe. That's for the end, damn it. You son of a bitch. You're stealing my mojo right now. My God. Okay. So, again, I'm going to just go through some updates for people that aren't aware that's been going on for spring training for the Mets. Obviously, back on the 15th, pitchers and catchers initially reported. Since then, yesterday, every player has reported now, including, the guy leading the charge in Steve Cohen. Steve Cohen is at spring training right now, having a great time. And a couple of things that he made note of, which I thought were really nice, were just, he said that the vibe around the team feels different. He said, the first couple of years that I've been owner, this team, he's probably the most comfortable that he's felt around with how kind of loosey-goosey everyone's being, on the field in the locker room, but still motivated and confident at the end of the day. It doesn't seem like there's any hiccups, bad apples, there's no clicks or anything of that nature going on. Everyone just locked in, having fun and ready to go for the season. And for those that also don't know, Steve Cohen is now going to be in a more involved role for the Mets on a day-to-day basis with operations because Sandy Alderson is now in an advisory role. The Mets are probably going to go the majority of the year without even a president. And not only with Sandy in an advisor role, you're going to have Steve Cohen in day-to-day operations, including meetings every Thursday that he's going to be doing instead of handling his normal hedge fund job there with Point 72. Also, Bryn Alderson, who's the son of Sandy, is no longer in the Mets organization. I meant to mention that last week, but I'll just tie that in here. Originally was an assistant GM for the Mets. But
hold on, Tyler. If there's an opening at Point 72 on Thursdays, I would just like to throw my resume out there as I am now in the financial business world. Oh. And Mr. Cohen, just hit me up if you need help on Thursdays. I could fill your spot for you. I charge a very small portion of what you got going over
just there. A fraction of your 20 bill.
A fraction of that 20 bill. That's all.
I'll reach out. We'll make that happen, Recker.
Come on, Stevie. Come
I think we should.
Come on. We got to get him out of Jersey and into something like Westchester or Long Island. So let's work with
him. There you
Stevie.
Go. I'm trying to move up to there's like a really nice area in Connecticut. Darien, New Canaan, Westport.
Oh, is that like where Greenwich is or?
No, it's east of Greenwich. Greenwich is too expensive for me. I don't think I can afford that. I don't know if I want to afford that, to be honest with you. This is a very expensive area too, but
I think he's up in the
Greenwich?
New Canaan area.
He's in New Canaan?
I believe so.
Oh, okay. Well, I don't want to live there then. Probably wasn't supposed
You're the worst.
You're not wrong though.
I don't know. It's a nice area up there. We got a Stanford. Grant telling me to move. Stanford. I would, but I heard their schools aren't great. I mean, what do you got for me, Grant? Are the schools?
Yeah, okay? But I mean, your kids already have your genes, so they're screwed anyway. It doesn't really matter what school they go
to. Hey, I may look.
They're just gonna try to be pretty to get them through life.
I may look like an idiot. But I was, I could do a thing or two,
Hey, if they have Kelly's looks in your jawline, the boys will be fine.
That's true. I went to private schools. Yeah. See, the schools there are great. I can't afford private school, Grant, so ain't happening.
Well, maybe if Stevie brings you on those Thursday meetings, you will be able to afford private school.
Steve,
one step ahead, man.
You call.
One step ahead.
Come on.
By the way, I saw a comment.
Let's get to the baseball now before Tyler's head explodes. Come on.
Yeah. Well, no, this is a baseball-related comment. While we're looking at the comments, I saw Bobby G said something about, respecting Steve being a hands-on owner. And I will say, most owners are there just to be piggy banks, right? Most owners, I don't want to be hands-on. I think Steve Cohen is a perfect hands-on owner because I think he is as invested, if not more invested, both literally and figuratively, than anyone. And I think him being hands-on personally is great. Other guys, Jeff Wilpon being hands-on, dumpster fire. Rec, what do you think about having a hands-on owner?
It depends. I've seen it go south and I've seen it help. That's all I'm going to say.
I mean, I don't even think that has to do with baseball, but the first guy that popped in my mind was James Dolan for the longest time with the Knicks. So I think that's a prime example. I'm sure you're alluding to someone else there, Rec. But yeah, no.
Jerry Jones. Yeah. Dallas Cowboys.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, James Dolan also doesn't know shit from
Mark Cuban, great owner. Mark Cuban's a great owner.
He just depends,
Yep.
And I want to go back for a second to Joe when you were, talking about Rec and, the features. And speaking of good-looking people, bringing sexy back, more like bringing Vogel back. Vogie is now back at spring training along with Alonso.
Good transition, Tyler.
Have you been working on
this?
Thank you.
That was good.
Thank you.
Every night before he goes to bed, he's like, ways to get Joe back on topic.
Yes. I gotta reel you in like the old was it the State Farm commercial where he's like, oh yeah,
gotta be quicker than that.
Yeah. But Vogelback and Alonso obviously both in spring training for the Mets, and something they have in common is they look like they both lost at least 15 to 20 pounds. So you don't only see the loosey-goosiness, but you also see the confidence, and the guys are locked in. And when Vogelback was actually asked in an interview, what was the reason for this besides the nature of Vogie just want to get a better shape? He's like, I want to head into this year not to start getting ready for the season of spring training, but being ready by the time I enter spring. And he said, that's something that I feel is very important for him. And I know that we got that smile there from Rec. And again, I give him all the kudos in the role to be doing that because he's already been impressing according to Buck Showalter. Buck was even raving about him and his glove at first base. So I don't know if this means we're going to see a couple games of Vogie at first.
If he's been coming to spring trainings to get ready for the season and he's had the success that he's had, wow. Like this guy is going to be, he's going to be Babe Ruth. Like, you should not be coming to spring training to get ready for the season. You should be coming to spring training ready. I don't care who you are. Yeah. You come at least physically ready, right? Like you don't need to be locked in. Your swing doesn't have to be perfect, but you should be already working on a lot of that stuff before you get there. So, including conditioning, everything. Like you should be like able to step on a field and play a 9-inning game the day you get to spring training. If he hasn't been doing that, man, he could be due for a pretty big season. I don't know. I took that stuff a little bit more seriously than some, though.
Yeah, Joe, what about you? What do you think this means?
Joe, I saw that smile. Why are we smiling?
Yeah, you're just, for anyone who doesn't know, you're a little intense, Rec. You're a little more intense than most, I think. I think these guys show up to Port St. Lucie. If they've got a safe roster spot, they're ready to, take some sun in, have a couple beers, maybe some happy hours, and you're like, all right, 4:30 in the morning.
Good for you. Good for you. Yeah, that's great.
Rec is intense the way that I am intense about the podcast usually with staying on topic. He's the same way, with just being intense, locked in about baseball itself when he was a player.
Right. So except one of those guys was a pro athlete and the other is just shooting the shit for 40 minutes on a Tuesday.
Exactly. But I'm trying my best to not only shoot the shit, but sound a itsy bitsy little bit of sophistication, even though I know I'm probably terrible at that.
Itsy bitsy. Why'd you bring yourself into this, Tyler?
Can I just leave?
I don't even remember the question, Tyler.
I don't remember the question either now. The point is,
Vogie,
they're in good shape.
You were talking about Vogie being in shape.
He looks great. And Alonso. I'm a little worried about how entertaining it's going to be watching him go first to third now. I feel like, that was a big part of why people would buy tickets, and now we might lose that. So
that's why they brought the Brigham Vogel back.
Yeah.
Or Vogie back shirts. That's why I can't even spit it out. That's why they bought those.
Yeah, man. I think Vogie's going to have a pretty big year. I think you could be looking at maybe 20 home runs, minimum 15. They've showed you that he's going to be predominantly the DH, at least when righties are on the bump. So he's going to get some pretty regular playing time. I don't know about his glove. But I definitely think he's going to be a mainstay in the lineup, and I think you're going to see some pop.
Yeah, I think that pop's going to be key. Something that I noticed with Vogelback too, and just some off-season clips and things, is that his swing looks a lot more, it just looks better, I think, for a home run swing personally. Like his follow through is a little bit different. We've seen that with a lot of Mets hitters actually this offseason, just snippets of them working out. One of those guys that actually has worked on his swing a lot, which, Joe, I'm curious to see how much you're going to critique him or not, is Mark Vientos. Because, I mean, last season when he was brought up to the Mets, we saw he had this long, loopy swing. It looks like he's shortened things up a little bit, and is definitely it looks better than what it was, is what I'll say. So I don't know exactly how I was going to look in spring. We'll soon find out because games begin as soon as this weekend. We'll be getting the pitching matchups a little bit later for fans that are interested. Again, baseball is finally returning. But one thing I did want to make note of is staying on the topic of, Ruff Alonsos of the world, guys that naturally will either play first base or DH. Then we have Darren Ruff, who is still on this Mets roster, as we know. When he was acquired by the Mets, looks like he was going to be this lefty killer because the numbers all favored him and he was anything but for the most part. And now he enters spring with the Mets feeling more rejuvenated. However, already is having some injury issues as he has a sore right wrist. Received a shot in it yesterday, so he's going to be pretty low-key the next couple of days with baseball activities before ramping up again. But Ruff said that this is something that he's dealt with for at least a couple of years. So my question to you, Reck, is because Ruff said, it felt like that this was the best time to address it. Do you think this was the best course of action by addressing some type of wrist injury with just a shot to kind of help them make things feel better? Or do you think it would have been in his best interest to do some type of procedure? Because if this has been nagging for like 2 years now, wouldn't it be more than just, simple soreness from just playing every day? I feel like there has to be some type of underlying ailment going on there. No?
Probably. But if it's been going on for multiple years, yes, his time in New York last year didn't go the way that he wanted, but he had great numbers before that. So clearly he has an ability to play through whatever the problem is. I would have suggested if there was a problem with the wrist, taking care of it in the offseason, like right after the season ended, not waiting for spring training and ramping back up. But that's a frustration I have with a lot of guys. You look at Frankie Montas for the Yankees getting shoulder, surgery the day he shows up to spring training. It's like, wait, what? Like, why wasn't this taken care of? If this is a similar injury to what you had at the end of the season last year. But that's, look, I don't know where the communication lies and whose fault it is and, yada, yada. I don't want to go into that. But realistically, I mean, I would have, if it was really something that nagged me, I would have taken care of it as soon as the season ended, taken my time off, gotten myself back in shape, ready to go, and I would have been showed up to spring training ready to go. I don't know exactly what the injury is or what kind of procedure it would have taken. But look, if he feels comfortable enough to play through it, the wrist injury, as is with a shot, then hey, do it. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
What about you, Joe? Anything?
I don't want to see that guy anywhere near the team. I don't want to see him on the field. I don't want to see him in a lineup. I don't want to see it.
Good cop.
Darren's like the nicest person ever. Like he's like the nicest man
I'm
ever
sure.
been.
And you know what? If you want a really nice guy who can bat 050, sign me up.
Stop it.
I'll fix my attitude and go out there and hit 0 home runs in the second half.
Joe. He wasn't good in New York last year.
No,
Rex. Very good.
No. The sandwich I had today wasn't good. Darren Ruff was a freaking abomination. All right.
The question is, what was the sandwich? This is the real question.
It was a breakfast sandwich.
Tyler.
It probably wasn't the freshest. It was a little, it was like afternoon. But that sandwich wasn't good. Darren Ruff was an abomination.
Okay. But he was really good with the Giants for a year and a half. Really good. Or was it a year and a half or 2.5 years? I don't know. Anyway, really good with the Giants. I give him the benefit of the doubt that he can come back and have a bounce back season. I really do. Playing in New York is different in that stadium. I mean, San Francisco is not a great place to hit either. But we'll see what happens. I think he's going to have a much improved season. Of course, assuming that he gets at least semi-regular ABs, that might be a problem. This team is,
I would trade him for a bucket of bubblegum at this point.
So Darren,
Not even the
I know
good
you're
stuff,
not listening
even
to
big
this.
league Q, just like
I know you're not
double-double.
listening to this, but I will smack Joe for you when I see him the first time I see him. Like just right across the face. Just saying.
Brutal. Give JD Davis back.
No, JD was not going to be doing this here. Okay.
I don't know. They switched places, and JD started.
Yeah, and JD's like from the area. Just let him enjoy his time in the Bay. All right, it's fine. It is what it is.
The trade
was bad, and I'm not excited for Darren Ruff this year. This was someone who I initially didn't want to see on the roster either. To your point, Joe. However, you look at the situation, and for me, it's as simple as, okay, Ruff comes in, he's going to be in a very limited role. If he does not succeed in that role for the first month or two of the season, like if he's truly abysmal, the equivalent of what he was for the large portion of his Mets tenure in a limited role last year, then you part with him one way or the other. You just have to make sure he's not a detriment to the Mets winning or losing ball games, like especially losing. Like for a guy that's going to be in a limited spot, if he is a factor and to say not like you need that one key hit or a couple of key hits and he can't hit a lick off of a lefty that's throwing meatballs right down the dick, then you need to part with him or do something. Right. But again, look at his role last year. He's not accustomed to being in that type of spot before. He only had 66 at bats and 74 player appearances last year with the Mets in 28 games. That was an adjustment for him. And some
How
guys,
many hits did he have?
How
many? That's a good question. He had
8.
Hold on. He had 10 hits.
Oh, double digits. Getting frisky.
Yeah.
Hey. Go look at my 2015 stats, okay? It happens, all right?
Yeah, but at least you put a few out of the ballpark, man.
Did I? I don't even know. Oh, I did.
Yeah, of course
put two out. That
your home run to hit ratio was at least good. Big slugging percentage guy.
I'm laughing, but I'm really sad and I want to cry.
You're laughing, but you're crying on the inside.
Oh my gosh. Someone remembers my Cub game. Look at that. I got a comment.
There we go. Todd Licata. I wonder if he's related to Sal.
If
he is, he's already way more optimistic. He's already way more optimistic than Sal.
Way cooler than Sal.
You know what?
Oh, man.
Let me say this about Sal for a second, because as much as I'm not a fan of a lot of the comments that comes out of his mouth and a lot of media heads as a whole, Sal did make a great point tonight that I saw on SNY talking about Steve Cohen. And I hope all fans are paying attention and listening to this and can agree with him was, Steve Cohen has done everything in his power to make this Mets team where they're at right now. Okay. And for any fan to try to harp on Cohen's 3 to 5 year window as if it could be a guarantee, because there are fans out there that do believe that those words mean, okay, the Mets are guaranteed to win a championship over that time. That's the farthest thing from the truth. Again, Cohen said himself, I can't guarantee you anything, but I'm not going to stop from doing everything I can physically do, from spending the dollars and making the proper moves to get this team where they need to be. And if we don't succeed over that 3 to 5 year window, then by God, we're going to make sure that we're continuing to tack on and do our best in the years going forward. And Sal was just in full agreement with him on his side. And that was nice. Because again, a lot of things I usually don't agree with Sal, but he was on the money with that one. Anyone with common sense of Cohen and what he's been doing should agree with that as well.
Look, and that wasn't a knock on Sal at all, by the way. Look, I don't agree with a lot of what Sal says, but at the end of the day, this is the entertainment industry, and Sal's entertaining. Look, if I had to choose to be stuck in an elevator with Sal Licata or Andy Martino, I'm picking Sal 10 times out of 10 and not thinking twice about it.
Yeah. It's you want to be with Sal, who's going to give you a proper sports conversation, or someone that's going to make sure that he has his puppets behind him. So, I mean, you take your with the Beatles. But all right, we'll leave it at that. Ed Flood with a donation I want to address quick. Still need a jersey for my girlfriend. Suggestions.
Darren Rupp.
Darren.
Is it bad that I see GF and I think gluten-free?
Yes. Yes, that's like insanely bad, Reck.
Who lives in Los Angeles, Reck? You or me?
Yeah.
I lived in Arizona, California for years, man. But you know what's bad? We had first of all, soup. My wife made a fantastic
what kind? Come on, we want details.
It was a minestrone,
I'm gonna just give you guys 10 minutes. Go ahead.
It was a minestrone, but it was like a country style. Like it was incredible. But like with the recipe she looked up, it was like Ina Garden or whatever, and you were supposed to take a baguette, slice it up, like make some toast points out of it, or whatever. And basically, when I was at the store, I was like, oh, like I'll get like a baguette. And I got this like really cool, like seeded one, looked nice, multi-grain, like, oh, this is good. I grabbed it, threw it in my thing, get home. And then I look at the ingredients right before I was about to cut. It had like soy and like xanthan gum and like all kinds of I'm like, what are we putting in bread nowadays?
Testosterone. We can't.
Like, like what are we doing? So I didn't use it. I put it back in the fridge and I cut up some sourdough, and there you go. Like I made some
sourdough is the best.
I made some homemade croutons out of that because I don't do all the other crap that was in there. It was unbelievable.
Rec will not eat any foods that might increase his estrogen levels. We just want to be very clear.
No,
get that soy crap out of there.
I don't want the man boobs when I'm older. No.
Not when you're benching 345 and putting in too much work for it. You know.
I mean, yeah, pretty much.
Is that number right?
I haven't actually put that on the bar in a while, but I'm sure it's still. I mean, I max my sets out at 315 right now because I don't have a spotter, so like I don't need to get any more than that on there and like get stuck. Because who's gonna lift it off of me?
Yeah, I don't think the kids are ready for that just yet.
No. So.
Okay.
All right, Wardy, we're back from the soup.
All right, and now going from the soup conversation, let's go to the 11th man of the bullpen, shall we? Because I think that's a nice little segue. Because I'm being so serious. I've been wanting to talk about the bullpen because, as I said last episode, I'm really interested to see how it's going to break down here in spring training. I know I might seem like a nerd to think that, but again, the Mets have a lot of these arms that they picked up throughout the offseason were either guys coming back off of injury or just had a limited sample size, either from spring last year or just made their debut towards the end. They're all looking to compete for some spots. And there's two guys specifically that I want to highlight in this discussion out of, the bulk of guys, and that is going to be John Curtis and Zach Green, who the Mets, of course, picked up in the Rule 5 draft. Green did a recent interview with Mike Puma of the New York Post and said, I might not have the flashy stuff like Steven Ridings, for example, who can touch a hundo on the gun and, might not be the most talented guy in the group. But one thing that I truly feel I'm better at than anyone else is my confidence level. And I think that's really what's going to help me over the edge here. He went further on to say that, I'm not bothered by what happened with the Yanks. Obviously, I was a little disappointed, but I can't fault them for the amount of talent that they have. And it's true, the Yanks have had an abundance of bullpen talent throughout the years. That's one thing that I've always noticed and highlighted when I think about the Yankees. So Green now comes in order for him to not be returned to the Yanks. He, of course, has to make the Mets roster and make this bullpen. That's something that is going to be working heavily. The 26-year-old had around a 3.5 ERA in AAA last year. Again, great strikeout numbers, but also a guy that has a high walk rate. So someone that hopefully Jeremy Hefner can work with a little bit and get his control down. Another name, and a rec, I'm not sure how familiar you are with him, is John Curtis. The Mets signed him last offseason, didn't pitch a game last year because
I caught him when I was with Minnesota.
Perfect. So you have a couple things.
This episode of Who the Hell Did Rec Play With?
There you go. He's your best friend,
Just
Reck.
assume, guys. Just assume.
Let's go. My guess was going to be spring training in Arizona. That was going to be my guess.
Yeah, that would have been a good pick. All right, tell us what you know about John Curtis before I go on with what I have to say.
Good stuff. Mostly a slider guy. I mean, he's got a good slider. That's kind of his weapon. I haven't looked at his numbers. I would guess he probably throws 50% sliders or close to. He can run it up there. I remember when I caught him, it was 95, 96, touching 97. He can run it up there. He's got a good fastball, just doesn't use it. At the time with Minnesota, he was still kind of working on his confidence. I'd like to think some of that arrived, certainly in his time. Was it in Tampa that he had that really good year? So I would imagine that some of that arrived and that he had, he's got plenty of confidence now, and assuming that he does, he could be a weapon for this bullpen. I don't anticipate him being a back end, type guy, late game, big, situation type guy. But he could be a good piece. And realistically, I think what you'll find, and it goes even with Darren Ruff, but what you'll find with this team right now is that they have a multitude of options, both in the big leagues who may not have options, but also guys who do have options so that they can maintain that depth going into and throughout the course of the season. when injuries arise or when things happen, they're going to be able to call on guys that have big league experience or that are big league ready or that have the, big league talent, and they're going to be able to get something out of them. And I think that's the biggest thing with this team. When we talk about depth, you mentioned the Yankees, they've had the ability through youth, through guys that they've, brought up through their system, to be able to call on guys who, have the ability to pitch in the big leagues or have had experience pitching in the big leagues and have done a great job. I'm trying to think of his name right now. I'm forgetting it off the top of my head. The outfielder they had a couple of years ago, he actually got traded to San Francisco. Lefty for the Yankees.
Oh, shoot.
Came off the bench, played really well for a year, and then wasn't so good the second year. Got traded to San Francisco.
With a lot of Yanks of recent.
Anyway, I played against him in the minor leagues. He was awesome. Just put together good AB after good AB. That's the kind of stuff I just see the Mets kind of starting to stack together, is a team full of guys who can help them at the big league level, when necessary.
Yep, it's depth. That's definitely
Tauchman.
Tauchman, thank you.
Yes. Yep.
Tauchman, yes.
Yeah.
Forgot about it.
I mean, he was phenomenal for them.
He came up,
was it 2020, 2019, I think it was? Whatever. I don't remember what year it was.
Yeah, he had some immediate pop in that lineup.
Trying to stay on topic, but just off the top of my head, him, Greg Bird, Clint Frazier, Miguel Andujar. There's an out.
Name now?
What's that?
Did he change his name, Clint Frazier?
Who knows? And quite frankly, who cares? I'm sorry, but there's one other guy that was an outfielder that was like close to the size of Judge. I think he was with Minnesota for a little bit. He won to San Fran. Why am I blanking on his name? Big dude. Shoot. If anyone in the live chat knows, please let me know, because it's going to bother me. But he was another one of these guys that was brought up and it looked like he was going to be the next big thing in Queens, small sample size, and then dealt with some injuries and, is already out of the league.
Is he going by Jackson now? Clint Frazier? Is he going by Jackson Frazier now?
I have no clue. I don't follow Clint Frazier.
I didn't even know that, to be honest with you. Are you talking about Aaron Altair?
No. The former Met? No, not him.
Wait, didn't Altair hit a home run in his first at-bat with the Mets and then not get another hit?
Yeah. It was something along those. He was absolute cheeks with the Mets.
I think first AB he went yard and didn't get another hit with the Mets.
Yeah, and then before you know it, he was overseas, right? Not long after that. He did. It was like a Keon Broxton thing going on there.
Great dude.
What's his face hit a home run with the Mets in his first at-bat? Didn't Rajai Davis do that? They had him like
that. I think he did.
Didn't he hop in an Uber from Pennsylvania?
Yeah.
And then hit a home run that night?
Yeah.
That was I love Rajai Davis.
Another great guy. Loved him. Played with him. Awesome dude.
Was that Indian spring training? You got to know him?
That was Oakland.
Oh, right. Yep. And then were you guys reunited with Cleveland in spring training?
I don't think he was there that year. I don't
2016,
think so.
Right? The World Series year?
2016. Yeah, I think he came over later. I don't think he was in spring training that year.
Gotcha. Because he had that home run off Chapman.
I could be wrong.
He hit that Game 7 homer,
Yeah. Oh, huge homer in the World Series. Yeah.
God, I wish they won it.
Here, going back to Curtis for a second, the reason why I'm emphasizing him is when Billy Epler last offseason made that signing, that was a move that he fully expects him to crack the bullpen this year. While nothing's a guarantee, he's definitely a guy to keep an eye on to crack it. Then you have other guys like the Jeff Brighams on the world, the Eliza Hernandez's, who's trying to be a long reliever for the Mets, or a guy that can be starting out in AAA as a starter. And then, you look at guys that, Montez Diaca, who made his MLB debut last year. That's a flamethrower, just needs to get his control down. Coonrod, who we just talked about recently, that you broke down a little bit, Rec, another guy to keep an eye on. TJ McFarland, the veteran lefty. Tommy Hunter, who's one of my absolute favorites. He's back with the Mets. He's going to be competing for that bullpen once again. Did very solid in his limited role last year. Just to name a few. There's many of other relievers that are going to be looking.
Last year, God, he didn't give up a run the year before, and then it took like 10 outings last year till he finally gave up his first run as a Met. He was a legend.
And never forget when he got his first hit in Atlanta, did a little shimmy, and then his season was done. He got traded to Tampa, didn't play a game for them. Then he was back with the Mets.
He's one of my favorite teammates ever, man. That dude's awesome. He's just nonstop comedy. Just great.
What team was he a teammate?
I was gonna say another one. Jesus, what team was this?
Yes,
that was with Cleveland. That was with AAA in Cleveland. With Cleveland, he was awesome. You mentioned TJ McFarland, former teammate. Mm-hmm. I could get.
We should have just did this episode.
Some 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon shit.
Every time,
everyone.
Been around. I got passed around a little bit.
Hey,
it happens.
Reck was like your third choice sorority girl in college. Jeez.
Jesus, Joe. Come on, man. Like,
where do we go? You got your Kappa sweatshirt on? Is that what that is, Reck?
Lambda, lambda.
With the letters on the butt.
Lambda, lambda, lambda.
Yeah. You know where to catch Reck at Alvernia.
We didn't have Greek there. Are you kidding?
You guys didn't have Greek life? Neither did my school. Neither did mine.
I don't think we had enough people to have like a Greek house on the entire campus.
I think we would have been problems if we had Greek life in college, Reck. That would have been problematic.
I don't think I could have done that. Like, that's just not. I don't know. Not.
My cousin is a part of the Greek
life. Not about
life.
that life.
He's a senior at St. John's, and he's just, I don't know how he does the things that he does and like, I don't know how he functions on a daily basis the way that he is.
It's
really like, I love him to death, but he's just like, you have to be a certain breed and a certain level of degenerate, which he's fully aware of.
Yeah, I'm very glad my school didn't have Greek life.
Yeah.
So Rick, if you had to pick John Curtis or Zach Green, you're going with Curtis to make the team?
Only because Green's got. Oh no, Green would have to be sent back, right?
He was the Rule 5, right?
I mean, Curtis doesn't have options either, I'm assuming. So that's tough. I don't know.
I'd go
usually
with Green
injuries. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I haven't seen Green pitch enough. And I don't know that I would pick one over the other right now. But usually the thing with spring training that everybody always forgets about, they're like, oh yeah, this is the roster when they break camp a month and a half before they break camp. Yeah. There's always injuries. Like, no team has ever gone into camp with 26 and then left with those 26 at the end of camp. It just doesn't happen. Like, starting pitchers, position players, relievers, dudes get hurt every single year. You need at least 32 beginning of spring, because that's what you're going to need. You can find 26 out of those 32 come the end of spring.
Curtis, according to Fangraphs, has one last minor league option on his contract.
There you go. There's your answer. Green makes the team. Curtis goes to AAA.
Yep. And not only them, of the other guys I listed, I'm excited to see them all. I think, as excited as I am to see like a guy like Steven Ridings, I still expect him to start the year in AAA because he hasn't played in a hot minute, at least consistently, coming back from his injury. But, Montez Diaca really stands out to me. I loved what I saw from him in that small sample size with the Mets. And he's another one of those guys where I feel like if Hefner gets him right, that might just be a dime in the rough. Kind of like how, even though that, yes, he was established to a degree, when Miguel Castro was brought to the Mets from the Orioles a couple of years ago, another arm, just absolute flamethrower that really caught a lot of people by surprise, including myself. And I really liked him when he was here. So Diaca is one of those guys that I honestly hope impresses enough to at least have a shot for the bullpen entering the season. But are there any other relievers, Joe, that stand out to you among the ones that we listed?
Riding actually the most. I mean, I think, to your point, he's probably going to start in AAA, but Reck, I mean, you were just saying that the guy can really make that gun jump. So I'm excited to see Riding, like you mentioned, Montez Diaca, he can make the gun jump. I want to see those guys come out of the pen, right? I want absolute flamethrowers coming in there. It used to be a rarity, and now they're kind of a dime a dozen. But, I want to see guys that can dial it up and then also, have a good breaking piece, a slider, whatever they got working. Riding fits that profile well. So I'm excited about him. I'm more excited about Riding than I am Green or Curtis, to be completely
honest. Gotta have a good piece. Gotta
have a slide piece and a side piece. Got to keep it all going,
Oh, I was just talking about a hammer, like a...
Are we back to the sorority girl discussion? Because I saw it in the comments. Someone wanted to rename the episode.
Okay. All right. Final
Tyler's
segment.
Blushing. I
know Tyler's uncomfortable.
I'm not even blushing,
right
dude. My face has been beat red since the show started. You guys are too
Tyler's like our uncomfortable little brother right now.
Yeah, very much so. Our final segment before we get to answering some questions for everyone here in the live chat. Again, guys, if you're watching the live
questions.
Stream, live.
You never answered.
Wait. Hold, calm the tits for a second. I got something to say. Just
no tits. All right, no one's having soy in their diet over here.
I just want to list off for people that were wondering, because again, baseball is back this weekend. I believe the Mets have an inter-squad game on Friday, and then Saturday they have 2 separate games, and then Sunday is their first game where they actually have a pitcher of significance on the mound, which is Scherzer. But on Saturday they got Denny Reyes in the day game, and then Jose Buto, who of course had his phenomenal debut against the Phillies in the second half of last season, and the night game on Saturday. Sunday, Max Scherzer will be pitching. Monday, David Pearson on the bump. Tuesday, Jose Quintana and Kodai Senga will be throwing on the backfield Tuesday. So that's just what the pitching alignment looks like for the Mets start of spring training. And then from there, we'll discuss further when we get into our next episode sometime next week, probably on Tuesday. But yeah, very excited to have baseball back. And yeah, let's get to the questions now before we wrap things up. And I know, Joe, you have something to say.
Joe's got something to
say.
Yeah,
no, we never answered Ed's question. He gave us a dono, and we never told him what jersey to get his
That's true. You just said Darren Ruff, and we laughed it off.
Right, we got to get the gluten-free girlfriend a jersey.
I'm gonna say Kodai Senga, because I actually a couple days ago did a jersey, 2 jersey giveaway on the YouTube channel for hitting 20,000 subscribers a while ago, and both of the people that won asked for Kodai Senga. So just staying on that hype train. We're gonna go with.
Where
Kodai.
do you drop something there? You drop something.
What did I drop?
He doesn't get it.
I wasn't paying. No, what am I missing? You ruined it. What was it?
20,000 subscribers.
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, no, that was
40 with a little flex.
That was not intended. That was from a couple months ago. I'm being so serious. Christ. I meant to do this at least a month and a half to 2 months ago, but I pushed off the giveaways because the Correa situation was happening. What we thought was going to just go for a couple days ended up a month plus, and then it never even happened. So
how about Bobby G with the creativity in the chat?
Oh my goodness!
And Grant with our new hashtag. That's got to be the new show.
Calm your tits. I think that needs to be put on merch this year.
I think we need a shirt that says "Calm your tits."
We'll do like a soy with like a big slash through it, and then hashtag
Vogelback eating tofu. Sometimes
we got it all.
Sometimes I'm the idea guy. There we go, Grant. You tweet that, and I'll get you the retweet right away, man.
Yeah, Grant's gonna tweet that for his Jenny Mets account, which has 54,000 followers. It's the largest Mets account on Twitter among fan pages. So that's gonna get the word out there quickly.
I'll never forget the time Grant actually came to our comment section, because I guess he had just followed me on Twitter and I didn't see it and I didn't follow him back, and he called me out on it in the comment section. And my first reaction was, Grant, calm your tits. Like, what the hell's going on, man?
All right, guys, if you got any questions before we wrap things up, by all means, ask away. I'm trying to think just for a second, guys. Number 48, obviously Heilman is the most prominent 48 in Mets history. But aside from him, what are other 48s that you could think of?
You got to stop with the digs.
Yeah.
What are you talking
about? Can we talk about DeGrom, though, what came out today, that viral
picture?
Thing? Yeah.
The picture?
You got to be a sociopath to not have a childhood.
I'm a DeGrom fan. You guys know that. Love Jake.
It's not that I hate.
It's
Jake.
not even.
It's
not even his fault. Like, that's a really who in Texas, like in their marketing, came up with that idea. Like, what? Why did you think that was a good idea?
He wasn't the only one that put no hero too. I looked through all their photos. There were 1 or 2 other guys that did that.
You gotta have a childhood hero.
You do. I agree with that. You do have to have a childhood. I mean, like, come on. Like, you didn't Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone, Mark McGuire, like all the dudes that were jacked out of their mind. Those were my heroes as a kid. That's who I liked.
So were you using steroids, Rick? Is that what you're trying to tell us? Like, every guy that juiced up, he was my idol.
I didn't know it at the time. Okay. Right. I was an impressionable young child getting duped by these dopers, and I didn't know.
It's like watching WWE when you're a kid.
Way, and I told them to, can't do that.
Told them to, one of those. But the thing is though, like, even I never saw that one. I don't know what the hell what just happened.
Dude, that broke.
I remember this from Friends. I don't remember that one.
And then Ross gets it back, and he gives up.
We're clipping that. 100%. We're clipping
That's incredible. That just became a gift for the ages.
Oh my god.
Oh, living. There's nothing like it. So, like, even if you don't have, and I'm all for like not glorifying celebrities, but like your dad. I mean, I've heard DeGrom speak highly of his dad in the past in interviews. Like, I mean, I feel like if you had asked 7-year-old me, I remember I had a school project and it was like, who's your hero? And other kids are like, you know, athletes, this and that. And I wrote like my dad, like nothing, just to have no one. Like, no one. At 7 years old, I thought I was, you know, all that in a bag of chips. Like, come on, Jake. Lie. If you have to lie, lie. Yeah. Say something heartfelt. Say something that, like, ugh.
When I was growing up, it was my dad, especially because he was an EMT and then a firefighter when we were growing up on Long Island. So like that was given. You know, I feel like even though that's a very like easy answer to give, you know, it just made sense. But yeah, it was a little bizarre.
It's not like he was put on the spot. This wasn't like an interview. Like he got to write it on a board. Like,
no, that was his maxed out creativity, Rec. I will say, if there's one thing that I did notice,
at least be honest and admit your hero is the politician who got rid of state income tax in Texas. Like, just keep it real.
If there's one thing that I will say I noticed from all this with Jake, and then we'll stop the DeGrom talk here, is that there's one specific photo of him cheesing like a mofo, whether it was today or yesterday. And that has to be the widest smile I've seen on his face in multiple years. So you could tell he's happy and he's enjoying his time, and that's okay. Good for him. But now we're going to stay on the Mets topic, which is why I was
when the check hits and your gross income and your net income are the same. It'll make a lot of people smile.
All right, let's.
Sorry, I've got my meeting at H&R Block tomorrow, so I'm already wishing I signed in Texas.
Fuck. All right, Josh.
Seasonal tax employee.
All right, Josh.
Seasonal depression hits in tax season.
I asked Rory this array, but I want to hear from Joey Anthony. Thoughts about Joey Lucchese? This is a good question because Joey is still, you know, getting back from his Tommy John surgery. He's hoping to have an impact on the Mets this year. A little bit on the outside looking in just with the depth right now. Build his arsenal up quite a bit. So, Rex, starting with you, what is your impressions of Joey Lucchese entering this year? Again, some new pitches added to his arsenal along with the churve that everyone loves.
Yeah, look, I'm a fan of Joey Lucchese in that I love the confidence. I love what he brings to the team. You know, from like a clubhouse standpoint, I was never overwhelmed with his ability on the mound, but you know, he certainly has some stuff, and I don't mind, you know, him being a part of this team, and I think he could be a nice asset for this team. More in like a long relief kind of, you know, potential like fifth starter, an opener type of a role, like at times maybe. Mm-hmm. But yeah, like, look, again, this is just another option that the Mets are going to have within their list of however many guys they have in camp, that, you know, could potentially at some point throughout the course of the year make somewhat of an impact. So I wish him all the best, obviously coming off the injury and everything and working his way back. It's just really good to see him back out there, and hopefully he, you know, has a great season.
What about you, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not all that high on him. You know, I think whatever role he can contribute, if there are injuries, great. But he's not a guy that I really look to and think he's going to be a difference maker. You know, I think he's got a below average fastball, good breaking stuff. But, you know, there are other younger guys who I'm more excited. And I know he's a lefty, but, you know, we've got Brooks Raley, we've got David Robertson, we've spoken about at length, better against lefties than he is righties. So Lucchese doesn't really move the needle for me. I'd rather some young guys who, you know, can bring the velo, maybe, you know, not as good breaking stuff, but a little more velo to their breaking stuff, a little sharper action than Lucchese's like loopier, slower stuff. So yeah, he's not really a needle mover for me.
Yeah, I wouldn't say he's a needle mover either, but he's, again, one of those many names I'm looking forward to seeing what they can provide, if anything. It's going to be a fun battle for that Mets bullpen without
question. It's funny because not so long ago, like Lucchese was viewed as, you know, a potential 5-starter, maybe a 6th guy, and now it's like he's nowhere near that conversation. There would have to be catastrophic injuries to this team.
I'm sorry to cut you off. I just want to say that I really think I think it's in the best interest of him and his career, honestly, to be a reliever because, I mean, unless we see an overwhelming difference in his arsenal, I mean, from the jump, he only really had like 2 pitches, right? So naturally, that's going to favor you more as a reliever, whether that's a long reliever or as a guy that could be absolutely dominant for an inning or two. Like, I think that's where we could see the best Joey Lucchesi. That might be best for him and gain the best bang, the most money in the remainder of his career, whether that's with the Mets and with some other teams. But yeah, overall, Joey Fuego, always been a fan of his, and I'll be rooting for him in spring for sure. But, with that being said, I think that is about going to wrap up episode 48 of Believe in Queens. Boys, do you have any final remarks before we get out of here?
Ooh, let's do, I'll put you guys on the spot. One more question. Michael Russo just threw it in the chat.
Sure.
Kodai Senga, year 1 expectations. Let's all give something. I'm going to go,
I'm not doing win-loss.
What?
I'm not doing win-loss record.
Well, fuck you. I'm gonna go 13-8. 13-8 with a 3.39 for Kodai Senga. I'm gonna say there starts where he goes out there and he struggles, and other times where he shows absolute flashes of brilliance. So 13-8 with a 3.39. Not a bad rookie season, first season over in the good old US of A.
I think that if you're gonna get to Kodai Senga this year, it's going to be early in the year while he's still adjusting to the baseball. After that, I think this dude's going to be lights out. And I say this year because it's going to take an adjustment period for hitters. He's just going to be kind of a different look than they've probably seen or that they see very often. Ghost fork, whatever you want to call it. I'm sure it's a pretty, I don't want to say traditional splitter, but it's a version of a split finger forkball. Just obviously maybe some, difference to it. Maybe it's the fact that he throws 97, 98. I think he's got a really good shot at throwing up a 2.7, 2.8 type ERA. Especially
optimistic, right?
Well, he's not a rookie though. That's the thing. He's not a rookie. And the thing that I feel about a guy who comes over from Japan and has played it in very big games and has been great over there is that I don't think the moment's going to be too big for him at all at any point this year. I don't think he's going to struggle with command. I know he's had some walk issues in the past, but this is a guy who can and should be able to command the zone. I think his only I shouldn't even say that. I think what's going to be hard for hitters is learning and adjusting to him. And I think within the game, the way that works, it usually takes a year. Like it usually takes a year for teams and for guys to make an adjustment to a pitcher like that. And I think he's going to have like a huge breakout season, and maybe we'll see what happens. Maybe more of a letdown next year coming off of those expectations than he would coming into this year with the expectations that are on him.
Yeah, interesting. Because I think even with an ERA, he's my rookie of the year pick. So even with my ERA projection is something in the 3.3 range. I would have said that's this year. Adjustments early in the year, maybe late in the year, a little fatigue because in Japan they pitch what? Don't they have like their assigned day of the week that they pitch? I believe they run a 6-man rotation. They're all off every Monday. So I would expect maybe some fatigue late in the year, some adjustments early. But I still think with a 3.3 ERA somewhere in that range, rookie of the year, and then I would say next year he gets to that sub-3 mark. So
I think with the way this team lines up with Verlander and Scherzer, not that they're going to run out a 6-man rotation, because I don't believe that to be true, but I do think that they're going to find ways to mix McGill and Peterson in there, and assuming they have 7 healthy starters, which they won't, but that they'll find a way to skip turns in the rotation, and that they'll find ways to keep guys fresh.
Scherzer's going to get a 10-day IL stint or two. I mean, we talked about it
100%.
last year.
And Verlander will too, absolutely, 100%. And they need, I don't care if they say no, they need it because you're going to want them to be ready in that stretch run of September. Make sure you win the division, and then going into the playoffs, they need to be ready to go. 1-2. So, I think that gives. It just, within that process, it's gonna be the same for Senga, and you give him the opportunity to, kind of adjust himself to this league and the way it works.
So my pick is going to be, I'm going to go a little bit more than just the ERA. I'm going to say ERA wise, I'm going to hope and also assume that he's going to be, 3.35 to 3.34 area. K per 9, I think he's going to get to 10, like at minimum. I think he's going to be around 10 K per 9. Walks per 9, I think he's going to be around 3.5, just because I think he's going to have some issues with, again, getting the proper grip with the baseball is going to be adjustment in the first half of the season at least. And expected ERA, I think those numbers are going to be better than his baseline ERA. So let's say if he has a 3.4 or at, worse 3.5 ERA, I think his expected ERA is going to sit lower, around 3.2, could even be 2.8. I think there's going to be just some things that don't go in his favor, obviously, throughout the year, gain adjusted, but he's going to put up, in my opinion, what's going to be a strong campaign for his first year in the majors and in the either middle of this rotation or as a number 4. The only reason why I would say that is because who knows, maybe Buck likes the idea of Quintana, the lone lefty in the rotation, as that guy to be that bridge right in the middle at number 3. So if he is number 4, wherever he is, I think he's going to do well. But those are my kind of predictions off the riff without thinking too much into them. But yeah, that was a very good question. And I'm looking forward to discussing him and plenty of other Mets and kind of what their season outlook is going to be looking like. We can share more predictions like this as we do the build-up for sure. But, this was a very fun episode, a lot of laughs, of course, getting off topic per usual, but always having a good time with you guys, chatting up all things Mets. And I'm looking forward because next time we talk, we will see the Mets at least take some at-bats, throw some pitches. So we'll have some baseball to actually get into, even if it's nothing too significant. But guys, everyone here in the live stream, we appreciate you watching. Make sure to smash that like and subscribe button again here on YouTube, whether you're watching live or on replay. It really does mean a lot on the Wordy NYM YouTube channel. Make sure to check us out wherever you get your audio podcasts if you haven't already. And if you have, make sure to rate, review, all that great stuff. Then make sure to check out myself, Wordy NYM, on not only YouTube, but Twitter. Make sure to check out Joe Ceraulo at the Joe Ceraulo on Twitter, not only for great sports betting picks, but just sports overall. Make sure to check him out there. And with his podcast, this Ceraulo Sports. Am I messing it up?
Ceraulo Sports Talk. No, you got it.
Ceraulo Sports Talk. I don't know why. I thought I was butchering for a second. And Anthony Recker. It is Anthony_Recker. Make sure to check him out there on Twitter and MLB Network. And that's really it. All right, guys.
Unless you're a Blue
I might start using some Instagram too. Anthony Recker.
Oh, are we gonna get Recker? Wow, maybe I'll get the follow back on Instagram. Fine.
I don't even know. I still don't know what my is it Anthony Recker 20 or is there an underscore?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I
think
the
20's
some
in there.
Cute Disney pictures. Might have been dabbling in some reels. I don't know what's on there.
Probably.
Anthony Recker 20. Yep.
I say I'm going to do it, and then I
former
never do
catcher, current baseball analyst, husband to Kelly, father of 3, home chef, foodie. Wow, that's a cute bio. It's cute.
Thanks, man. Thank you.
That's my favorite picture. Look at that.
So
Look at that selfie. Look at that. That's such a dad selfie.
All right, guys.
I'm not. I don't care about social media. People following me, that's not my thing. I like that people follow me. I like to interact with people that follow me, but I don't care to have as many followers as humanly possible. So you're just gonna get me, and that's corny, dorky,
fun stuff. Big Harry Potter guy.
Me, big Harry Potter guy.
Big Harry Potter guy.
You guys saw my video playing
Quidditch
in the house.
Yes, you're playing Quidditch in the living room. That was amazing.
Sick.
That was amazing.
That was literally one of the best days of my dad's life. That was awesome.
That's awesome. That's the one thing I miss about living in the Northeast is you'd get 1 or 2 blizzards a year where it's just all right, snow day. Let's just have some hot cocoa.
You better be creative.
Harry Potter marathon.
Yeah, and be creative. Come up with a random game to play in the house. Get the marathon going.
It's incredible. There are these great videos. I'll send them to you guys on TikTok of people. It's when you get selected to Gryffindor, but you hear Slytherin turning up, and they're hilarious. I got to send them to you guys.
Please do. Please do.
Right. Are you on the Talk of Ticks, by the way, Rick? Are you on TikTok?
No.
No. Got to get you on there.
I mean, hey, I'll tell you what. I'll make one, and then I'll let you handle it. But don't do anything stupid. You can't.
That was the first mistake you made, Rick.
Yeah, I mean, it's
okay. So I can't give it to Joe. I can't give it to Joe.
You see my TikTok? It gets
I haven't. I don't go on there.
Spicy. Get spicy.
A little spicy. A little
spicy.
salty. A little spicy.
All spice just like the shirt. All right, Mets fans. Thank you guys so much for watching. Peace out. See you next week.
Let's get off topic again.